country, same age, and even more importantly, the same job is being performed. The only difference is the gender of the worker that's performing the job. This results in big changes for the women in Indonesia. So as we're all, here in Texas, we're Texas people, I'm sure that we haven't really visited Indonesia many times in our lives, or the country surrounding that as a matter. But as people who are in a world that strives for equality and equal opportunity, this is an issue that does involve all of us. I am a senior nursing student at ACU, and I am a woman who is going into the work field soon. So the issue of gender inequality is an issue that I am very interested in. Within the past couple of years, I've taken a big interest in this, and that is because I'm about to enter the world where I will get the opportunities and pay, and this will be an issue that involves me. Women in Indonesia experience suppression through gender inequality. They experience this in two different ways, really. So the first way is the wage gap, which is a financial pay that has an issue, and there's a big difference between the man and the woman in Indonesia. Another issue is the historical religious properties that Indonesia has had. And we'll go ahead and we'll touch on the issue of unequal pay first. The wage gap between the men and the women in Indonesia is, in 2014, was rated at 20.4%. This means that men get paid 20.4% greater than women do. And the issue is only getting worse because there was another study done in 2016 where the wage gap was 30.8%. This meaning that men get paid 30.8% more than women for the same job that they're performing. Even though the women may have higher educational levels, they still receive lower pay, which is a big issue. And this is done by a study by the author of Taniguchi in The New Evidence, Gender Wage Gap in Indonesia, the article, and it was published in the ABD Economics Working Journal in 2014. The big issue with this is women's participation in the labor market is beneficial because it reduces the use of poverty in the country. Another issue, which is the reason that the wage gap is such a big deal, is that there's a lack of women's legislation in Indonesia. In 2009, there was a study done by Rahmawati, which was published in an article called The Indonesian Culture Causes. It was published in the Wage Indicator Foundation in 2012. It says that in 2009, although it was raised, it started off as women in legislation were only 11%, but luckily within that year it raised to 18%. This is the reason that there is such an issue in the wage gap. There's not enough women representation to combat the issues that they're experiencing there. Another issue is that married women are considered single in Indonesia. This highly affects their pay as they don't get enough representation for the children they are also supporting, unlike the men do there. Since we've just talked about how the wage gap in Indonesia limits women's opportunity, however, the suppression against women isn't just in the workforce, but also in the religious background. The popular religious background in Indonesia historically contributes to women's suppression. The Muslim faith has had an issue in the inequality for it is represented at 87.2% of the population there. So this is an issue because the Muslim faith has had, which it was reported in Pew, the Demographics in Religion and Global Religious Futures in 2016. Another issue is that women feel the requirement to obey their husbands according to the Muslim law. It was reported in a study done by McDaniel, which was the article of religious change and experimentation in Hinduism and Indonesian Hinduism. It was published in the International Journal of the Dharma Studies in 2017, and it showed that 93% of women in Indonesia report that they must obey their husbands. This has been reported as an issue as it is an elevated area where marital abuse is occurring. It also shows that they don't have as much freedom or opportunity as they do feel called to obey their husband's wishes, whether it be good for them or whether it be kind of bad. It affects the society's view of women because it shows that they aren't an equal necessarily in their household. This is a big issue because as they go out into the world to pursue their opportunities, it causes issues because they don't feel as if they have their own independence to do so. With this understanding of how the religious background in Indonesia has affected the perception of women in Indonesia, we perform a final review of what we have learned and why it's important. Women in Indonesia experience suppression through gender inequality. They experience this through the wage gap, which is large part due to their lack of representation in legislative issues. They also experience this as we have talked previously about their religious background in Indonesia. The world is evolving and changing, as it always has and it always will. Luckily, this means that we are striving for a better future for all people. With the same culture, same age, same country, same job. In return, it should mean equal opportunities for everyone, regardless of gender. I rambled, but I met the time limit. And this thing would not work.
No,
I was like, crap.
I literally couldn't look at you anymore. When it did that, I looked down, I was like, I can't say anything, I can't do anything. I looked down.